Mr. President, this is Mitch McConnell. This is Mitch McConnell speaking, and I just want to tell everybody, I do declare that I, for one, will support Donald J. Trump for president in 2024. And I don't really care. I don't give a what CNN or MSNBC thinks, or what the Lincoln Project neocons think. I just want to tell you that the good name of Mitch McConnell will support Donald J. Trump. I will be a steadfast servant of the Orange Menace, and I will help him regain the World Championship. Thank you so very much for listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, to my super chat, thank you so very much. Paul Bartlett, hello. Everyone, hello. M. Ray, hello. Eric, H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you very, very much. Joey, hello. Grunger Bust, hello. To my super chat, thank you so very much. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special segment, and this is actually really important. I know that, by the way, it only took 1 month for Biden to just to get into the usual wonderful foreign policy. Wonderful neoconservative foreign policy of the Lincoln Project. Just 1 month. That has to be a record. But anyway, these are things we can't talk about. These are things we can't talk about, lest we risk dire consequences. Dire consequences. There are things you can't mention in life. Some things, some realities. And through it all, without a doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall. And my name is Mitch McConnell. I did it my way. I'm sorry. I'll stop. Ladies and gentlemen, Mitch McConnell says he'll absolutely support Trump in 2024 if he's GOP nominee. Mitt Romney is such a he's an up and coming future star of the Republican Party. Not. Insider, Mitch McConnell says he would support Trump despite. Okay, that wasn't Trump's fault, although he shouldn't have had the protests, and it was a complete and utter debacle. Those 5 people should be alive. It was a tragedy. We've had tragedies and horrors the past 5-6 months prior. But of course, Democrats don't see reality in the manner that it exists. Mitch McConnell says he'd support Trump if he wins the 2024 nomination. If he runs through the gauntlet of fine Republicans like Mittens Romney and Benjamin Sass and Elizabethan Cheney and all these wonderful Marco Rubio, the little one. Sandiford! Don't you just love the so tolerant left? Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. I think, ladies and gentlemen, that this is actually a huge, huge story. And I know that apparently there's a lot of people who don't see this as a huge, huge story, but it is. The fact that Mitch McConnell, in the past couple of days, Mitt Romney, think about this. This is enormous. Mitt Romney the other day stated that he doesn't see anyone coming close to challenging President Trump in 2024. So he doesn't see anyone close. There's nobody on the horizon at all. The Republican Party has turned into a populist political party. That's it. Tariffs instead of things like the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Democrats, media, people who don't like Trump don't understand, they don't care about Trump's policies. It took 1 month for Biden to show who he was. And we see in terms of foreign policy, this is why, like when Trump did what he did, it was a response, but there was no real, like, and they were pushing him to do so and act. And that was, I didn't like it when President Trump did what he did, but this was like a month in. So I'm trying to go below the radar and the algorithm right here. I think you know what I mean if you know what's going on. It's a month in, okay? And they don't care. See, that's the thing. You gotta understand. They just simply do not care. It's not like when you show them that they're hypocrites, they don't care because they've been so like programmed to think a certain way that it's not even like they're not capable of actually any introspection. So you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where if you look, there really isn't. Okay, the Republican Party doesn't have a problem with President Trump. People who are beholden to media have a problem. People who live their lives based on what, like CNN or MSNBC will tell you. They're the ones who say, oh my God, Trump is a despot and a tyrant. But if you look at like what's taking place right now. Look at in the past month. Is this a liberal, like is this the is this the president that's going to save democracy and uphold the Constitution and save democracy? I want to know that, like, what is Biden doing to save democracy, to protect the Constitution, or to uphold the Constitution? You look at the past, it's taken 1 month, and you look at what's taking place right now. Just happened this evening. But aside from that, you can look, and I have in all my uploads. I was actually going to do an upload tonight. I didn't really feel like doing a live stream, to tell you the truth. But this was an important This is an important segment because there's no opposition to President Trump. There's no doubt he runs the Republican Party. There's no doubt he controls the GOP. The fantasy is that, well, the fantasy is that there's an opposition to Trump. But see, if you look, if you actually look and do your research, you can go in any one of my uploads, or my last upload. I have in the description. My God Almighty, why is it so difficult to just find? If you look at the description on my last upload, I don't know why I can't look at the description here. But it's called Tracking Congress in the Age of Trump. It's a 538 article. So 538 at times comes out with some interesting things. Not a big fan, but 538 Tracking Congress Age of Trump. Look at Wyoming's wonderful Representative Cheney. Okay?
Elizabeth Cheney. Look at Liz Cheney.
92.9% of the time, she voted alongside President Trump. How often Cheney votes in line with Trump's position? 92.9% of the time. Adam Kinzinger. Okay? 90.2% of the time. Okay? Romney. Now, Romney is 75% of the time. That's interesting. But he's still, the vast majority of the time, he's voting alongside President Trump. The vast majority of the time. Okay? Mitch McConnell, 91.4% of the time. 91.4% of the time. Okay? 91.4% of the time. 85% of the time, Patrick Toomey. Okay? These are like some of the people I'm mentioning voted for impeachment. So you look and it's like what what is it that these people want? They want a more diplomatic Donald Trump. President Trump should just give them a more diplomatic he should give them a more diplomatic politician, and just that's it. President Trump has already cornered the market on, in your face and all of that stuff, and so he's known for that. But Ted Cruz 92.5, and so you have Loeffler 92.3%, Perdue 91.7%, and so it's like they're all voting alongside President Trump. They're all voting alongside President Trump. Ben Sasse, 85% of the time. Okay? 85% of the time you're voting alongside President Trump. Don't tell me you have this big problem with him. Don't tell me you have this huge, enormous problem with him. It's Chuck Grassley. 88% of the time. And it's like, don't tell me you have this huge problem with President Trump when you're voting alongside Trump all the time. Joe Manchin votes half the time with President Trump, 50.4%. Okay? 50.4%. He voted 60% of the time in the 115th Congress. I mean, you can look, I mean, what is it, Mitch McConnell knows that in terms of policies and ideology, it's a populist political party. He has a populist political party now. It's a populist political party. You can say what you like about his personality, and I'm begging the president to just, because Democrats, media, they care only about image. And they actually gain sustenance and political momentum and this spiritual growth. They gain spirituality by disliking and despising Trump. And you notice now they're not going after Biden in the same way. And it took him 1 month. I'm not even going to get into it. If I could talk about what I want to talk about, really, I'm in great standing with YouTube because I actually, I'm myself most of the time, but there are things that I want to talk about that I just, I really can't. I can't dive into. And I should say, I'm not big enough in terms of my channel to just really, say what I want to say. And all I can tell you is that it took 1 month. Go look at what's happening right now in terms of foreign policy. What did I tell everybody? I said that I'm not going to vote for somebody who is going to be advised by the Lincoln Project, Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld Republicans. I'm not going to do that. Those are the despots and tyrants, not Trump. But you look at even there. Well, let's see. Republicans in general, most Republicans in the House, which is interesting, because you have some Republicans from who voted only 33% of the time. And they're not even never-Trumpers. But you have the vast majority of Republicans voting either 70 to 90% of the time with Trump. 70 to 90% of the time. Matt Gaetz, who is a staunch supporter of Trump, voted 85% of the time. Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, who are critics of Trump, voted over 90% of the time. Matt Gaetz actually didn't vote in as much in line as the never-Trumpers. And he is a staunch defender and proponent. You can look, ladies and gentlemen, and it's not about policies. Sandiford! I think they are finally realizing he will not be stopped if they cannot. Yeah, I think that the Republican Party has no alternative because the Republicans don't stand for anything. Trump stands for a more populist message on a whole bunch of things. He stands for a more populist message. He will engage. He'll engage in tariffs. He won't sign up for the Trans-Pacific Partnership. He's not going to embrace the rear end of multinational organizations, which you don't have to. It's interesting because Democrats pick and choose the government agencies and the multinational organizations that they either revere or criticize. So when President Trump, thank you so much, Sandiford, thank you. When President Trump was in the White House, in the Oval Office, oh my God. You know, he has to be stopped. He's a menace. He's going to hurt the Republic and the Constitution. But James Comey should be revered. An unelected official should be revered. Why? Because the unelected official told them what they wanted to hear. If an unelected official tells them what they want to hear, that's fantastic. That's fantastic, even with the history of that agency. Infiltrating civil rights organizations, even with the history of that agency. But see, again, look, the nonstop hysteria worked. Sandiford, everybody, the nonstop hysteria worked. It did. It worked. It worked. The nonstop hysteria and fanaticism and the 24/7 propaganda about how Trump, here's the thing. President Trump made some missteps. Every president does. But his missteps weren't as great as President Obama's in Libya or Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld's in an entire region of the world. That's a fact. If I were to debate anybody who loves President Obama, I would say, is there anything Trump did that's worse than President Obama's failed NATO intervention? Anything that he did. Okay? There's nothing that Trump did that's even worse than when President Obama drank Flint water and said it was safe to drink, which it wasn't. There's nothing you can't. This is the problem, though. They get away with a lot more because media doesn't scrutinize. They had a candidate that they all voted for. How many journalists at the Washington Post or the New York Times voted for Trump? How about none? Maybe. It's could you imagine even one voting for President Trump? How many people at MSNBC, CNN, the Washington Post, New York Times, Vanity Fair, Rolling Stone, Daily Beast, Esquire, Mother Jones, Nation? I mean, it's an entire apparatus. It's a machine. It's a public relations machine. And if they don't like you, all the hit pieces. If they like you, forget the investigative journalism. They're not going to. Eric Swalwell fell in love with an intelligence operative. Nobody talks about it. Hunter, Caligula, Biden's son. Oh my goodness. You couldn't even... the New York Post's account was suspended on Twitter. So, he's only human. President Trump was only human. He made mistakes. I understand this. His biggest mistake, however, was giving them exactly what they wanted. They don't run on policies or ideas or ideology. They don't have... the left has no ideology. It's all over the place. There are different factions and different groups and different subgroups and different subcultures and different... like, every day on Twitter, you get argument. I lived my life on the left most of my life. Up until a couple of years ago, I couldn't imagine myself voting for President Trump. And I said, wait a second, what am I doing? Trump is actually a good president. Are there things that I disagree with? Sure. Like, in terms of immigration, I'm liberal. Right? I have friends who are dreamers. I want them to become citizens. In terms of a more populist foreign policy, yeah, look what's taking place. Look what's taking place. And President Trump didn't, like, within a month of his tenure, you didn't have what you're having now. And the same things in terms of many topics are taking place with Biden's administration, but it's different. It's always different. It's not as severe. It's not. I can't even talk about what happened during President Obama's administration pertaining to certain topics in Senate investigations. I can't even talk about it. So it's actually a really good thing when I saw that, like, because, like, you know, it's kind of slow in terms of what's going on right now. It's kind of slow. And you're going to have the Conservative Political Action Committee conference coming up. And you're going to have President Trump speaking. So that'll be fun. But I wasn't even going to do a live stream tonight. And I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to do a live stream. I'll do an upload and I'll do a live stream tomorrow. And I looked, and as it's Mitch McConnell. Jacqueline, thank you. I looked and I saw Mitch McConnell. Sandra, thank you. I saw Mitch McConnell says he'd support Trump if he wins in 2024 nomination. McConnell says he'll absolutely support Trump in 2024. And Democrats, it's really funny because you have Mitch McConnell who voted alongside Trump over 90% of the time, Cheney, who voted alongside Trump over 90% of the time, Kinzinger, who voted alongside Trump over 90% of the time. And it's not, and then you realize it's not about policies. It's not about governing. It's not about actually changing the country or laws or governing or bettering people's lives. They agree on legislation. They wouldn't even I would like all presidents to go through Congress before any military endeavor. And we see that didn't happen tonight. But Kinzinger and Cheney, they actually voted against preventing Trump from unilaterally engaging in any endeavor without Congress. David, thanks for the Purim live stream, HA. Chag Sameach to everybody, to you, David, to everybody here, thank you. David Von Kettering, thank you. Thank you so very much, David. Chag Sameach to you, which means happy holiday in Hebrew. Thank you, David. Thank you so much. But thank you, David, so much. Thank you. This tracking Congress in the age of Trump is really interesting. It's really, really interesting. And It's like you can look at all the Never Trumpers, all the people who are anti-Trump in the Republican Party, and they all voted alongside President Trump. They all voted alongside President Trump. So it's not about, they just want him to be a little bit more diplomatic. Now, you can be strategic. You don't have to always be like, if he had simply just congratulated Biden, then he would be able to have talked about anything he wanted to talk about. My God almighty. At a certain point, if he just congratulated Biden and then pursued whatever he wanted to pursue, investigations, whatever. But now it's like you gotta at least, if you're playing the game of politics, then play the game. Play the game. That's all. I think President Trump should play the game. Build these alliances.
Trump's been so nice to me. I wonder what he wants from me. I mean, he's just, he's invited me to Mar-a-Lago at least 30 times the past 2 months. I think I'll just say that I absolutely support him. He's been so nice.
You look today, and Mitch McConnell obviously speaks for the entire Senate. So when he says something, he's pretty much giving you what the entire Republican Senate is thinking. Okay? Mittens cannot vote for Trump. It's not even relevant. It doesn't even matter. It does not matter. It is completely irrelevant if people who don't like Trump vote for him or not vote for him. He's not a despot. He's not a totalitarian. He's not like, you see what's taking place. You see what's taking place with Biden governing. And there's not like the left. There's no left in the United States of America. There is no left. You have people who claim to be really far left who just will vote blue no matter who. And this is what happens. So you look, and it's only the New York Post talking about, this is interesting, it's only the New York Post talking about the most important issue this evening. The Washington Post is Biden to exercise empathy skills in Texas. What? What the does that even mean? Empathy skills? Ishmael, now, come on now. People know. Biden to exercise empathy skills? Who looks at this and says, "Oh, good, Biden to to exercise empathy skills"? And of course, the most important story is covered by the New York Post. CNN, why hasn't Biden given up on a certain nominee that won't pass the Senate? Like, this is unbelievable. This is why the majority of people don't trust media. This is why the majority of people don't trust media. And we'll see if Republicans, like, here's the thing. This moment in time, this era, it's not sustainable. You have no Republican opposition, so Hollywood, intelligence operatives, the Democratic Party, political media can all spew and gravitate towards one narrative, one thought process, one message, one laser focus on despising one man. That's it. They can. There's no opposition because you have Ben Sasse and Mitt Romney and Cheney and Kinzinger and Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski. You don't have any of those people on the left. There is no. I just named 7 or 8 people. Like, you could name 7 or 8 people. There is no Justin Amash on the left. They're all in line. They're all in lockstep because, I mean, they get hooked up. If you deviate, let's say you are Tulsi Gabbard and you say, hey, wait a second, there are things here that are really corrupt. Oh my God, you're a Russian operative. They go after you. Biden to exercise his empathy skills. Oh, that's really great. That's fantastic. He's such a good human being. And Trump is a bad person, even though great things took place under his presidency that he wasn't given credit for. And look, like I said, you have to look at things, ladies and gentlemen, from in context. He helped them erase all of his accomplishments. He gave them what they wanted. They wanted somebody that they wanted to strip away his humanity. They wanted to make Trump like a tyrant, a caricature of some of their worst nightmares. And in some ways, he relished that probably. He enjoyed that. And look, it was a catharsis in many ways too, sometimes to read those tweets, but sometimes the tweets oftentimes didn't help him. Didn't help the country. So like this, he just has to learn. He has to learn because the people, like I said, go to Tracking Congress in the Age of Trump, the 538. It's in my last upload. It's in the description section. You can see the most vocal opponents of President Trump voted alongside him, over 90%. What does that tell you? I mean, that is such an important point that nobody, media does not. And then you look what's taking place with New York's governor. Look at what's taking place. It's controversy and scandal after controversy and scandal. Look what's taking place. You have never-ending controversies and scandals with this man. You have never it's just, and it's taken this long. And you're gonna see it's gonna be interesting. You'll see like a lot of stories that they'll try to suppress that they just can't. Probably about Caligula. Probably about New York's governor. Probably about other governors. Probably about the president himself, President Biden. But I know it's I'm like a broken record, but go to Tracking Congress in the Age of Trump. You can see that the Republican Party votes alongside President Trump. It's not like his policies or there are even, look, like I said, I would like Congress to prevent presidents from unilaterally engaging in what took place hours back. But the people against Trump don't even want that. They don't even want to curtail. They didn't even want to curtail his ability to engage in that type of thing. So it's like all public relations, all media. And you look at it from Mitt Romney's perspective, look, you look at it from Ben Sass or any of them, Kinzinger, they're always going to get positive coverage. They can vote alongside President Trump. They'll get reelected for being, a Republican or conservative, for voting alongside President Trump. They'll get favorable media coverage, and they'll be like media darlings because they'll have the courage and the wisdom and the strength to go up against the Orange Menace. I usually call him the Orange Menace. Now I call him Orange Julius. Julius Caesar. Orange. My friend, the orange, cuddly orange plush toy. I don't know. The interesting thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that you don't really have legitimate opposition. You don't have legitimate opposition. Like, you don't have an ideological opposition to President Trump. What you have is this longing for an establishment type of individual, like a Mitt Romney, who will disagree. No, I disagree with you. And I'm going to explain why I disagree. And here, the good people, like James Comey was a good person. It just, perhaps he just, went a bit too far with. Maybe there were political considerations when he said that there was no intent to hide information from 4 years of private servers with top secret intelligence on them. I'm not going to venture and say that Mr. Comey did something that was, despicable. I would never do that. I have too much respect for the system and our democracy. Trump doesn't care. It's like that's okay. Like, you can be straightforward and direct with like the people who tried to frame you. But it would be okay. It would be okay to just be a little bit more diplomatic. Just a little bit more diplomatic. You don't have to be like, they want, and you know what'll happen? You know what would happen? Oh my God, they would call The Hague. They would say it's a crime against humanity what he did to his dog. Like, the day that Mitt Romney becomes the 2024 GOP nominee, and he says, I've finally taken control of the Republican Party, everybody. Liberals, you can rest assured I'll promote democracy and the Constitution. Don't you love me? You put your dog on top of your car. You're a despot tyrant. You crimes against humanity. And you know what? We're going to send you to The Hague. And you know what? We're going to call NATO. You know what? Oh my God. You know what he did? You know what he said? Unnamed sources say that Mitt Romney did more than just put his dog on top of his car. In fact, he did more than you can ever even imagine. Oh, that dog was walking funny. Oh my God. Mitt Romney, mittens, no! They would go after Mitt Romney like you could. Pierre Delecto. He used that name to do dastardly things. Sources say, unknown people say, that's what you would get. That's what you would get. So, they're not going to, there's never going to be a time when Democrats or media, because they've learned, like they're never going to not engage in covering up, whatever is detrimental to the Democratic Party. Because they've learned now. There's no actually, the days where, if you look at 2000, you look at any broadcast from 2000, Ted Koppel, David Brinkley, Peter Jennings. They didn't care. None of them cared. Do you understand? You can look back. Go tonight. Go on YouTube. You're on YouTube now. But if you're bored, go and look back and see if any journalist was pulling for one political side or another. Go and look and see if people cared if Bush or Gore won in the media. Nobody cared. They were just looking at it in the most objective. They were removed. They were removed from the outcome. They did not care. They didn't care at all. Not so. Like, you looked at 2016, it was like, the worst nightmare of journalists coming true. The worst nightmare. And they lied about almost everything pertaining to Trump. And people believed the lies. And like I said, President Trump gave them what they wanted. President Trump gave them what they wanted. If you give them what they wanted, if you give them what they want, every day, thank God he's not on Twitter. It was the absolute worst. President Trump on Twitter, being on Twitter was the absolute worst. The worst thing for him. It was the worst thing for him. It was the worst thing for him. Because, like I keep saying, it allowed them to shape reality. President Trump was not a human being anymore. He was no longer a human being anymore to them. He allowed them to Lyle Bud, thank you, HA, putting it in their faces and surviving. Exactly. Yes, pretty much, with your help, Lyle. And with everybody here, Lyle Bud, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Lyle Bud. Thank you, Lyle. Greatly, 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 greatly appreciated. Who cares? I agree with you. Lyle Bud, thank you so very, very much. I agree with you about Twitter, yes. Lyle Bud. Thank you again, Lyle. So kind of you, and thank you. And thank you for always watching.
Mitch, the good name I do declare, Mitchell McConnell. Thank you, Lyle Bud, for your generosity and your noble endeavor.
Lyle, thank you so much. You have Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney the other day saying that Trump, there's like no opposition to Trump. There's no real opposition. And you pretty much have... Now it's just about waiting. And now it's about Republicans. And I think like it would be nice for conservative media. And this is another issue also. There is no conservative opposition. Like there are great publications. And I don't want to there's about 4 or 5 great publications, but you need like the Wall Street Journal or the New York Post. The New York Post is the closest thing we have to it is a major publication that actually supported President Trump. That's a good thing. They actually did what they had to do. They actually reported on a story, and then, of course, immediately in the Washington Post, we don't know if it's true. We don't know if it's true. It's like, you've spent 4 years on unnamed sources. You literally, like, The Atlantic literally published an article with a fabricated quote, a set of fabricated quotes with no evidence at all that Kamala Harris and Biden tried to use during the debates. Eric H526, hello. Luke St. Martin, did I thank you guys? Eric and Luke, thank you as always. Lyle, Bud, thank you so much. No. We need conservative opposition to the mainstream, like, public relations machine that props up everybody from Biden to, name just every Democratic politician. There needs to be some kind of, like, there's no discussion or debate or discourse. Like, you can look at the 80s, you could say, well, Reagan had a viewpoint, one distinct viewpoint, and then Democrats had another distinct viewpoint, and they would debate, and they would, you can see early 2000s, Bush, and, well, Democrats actually didn't really oppose, but media didn't oppose Bush. So you kind of see, like, it's kind of like, that type of thing's kind of like what's taking place today. There was goodwill that Bush and Cheney and Rumsfeld misused. Society was a bit different. But you don't have, like, aside from the New York Post, like, it would be nice if somehow President Trump, because the Wall Street Journal is, who did they endorse? Let's see, who did Wall Street Journal endorse? Let's see. Wall Street Journal gives more to Democrats than Republicans, so there you go. Why is this so difficult? Oh, they haven't endorsed. Okay, so they haven't endorsed somebody, a candidate, since 1928. Hoover. Ooh. Like, it would be nice, because you can see, like, the Wall Street Journal is still somewhat middle of the road. They're still independent of thought. Lyle, Bud, thank you again. It would be nice if there were journalists who could, it would be nice if the Wall Street Journal joined the New York Post. Because you do need some kind of, you can't just have every single publication calling Trump a tyrant and a despot without any rational pushback or rebuttal. I mean, it's like, there were missteps that Trump made. Every president's going to make missteps. But at the same time, you do need some kind of, like, you do need some kind of dialogue, debate, discussion on a national level, on a national stage. JSpot51 to support your Vice long arm. Thank you. JSpot51, thank you. JSpot51, Lyle, Bud, thank you. Thank you so very much, JSpot. Greatly appreciated. Lyle, Bud, thank you. JSpot51, thank you. You have MSNBC, CNN, The Washington Post, New York Times, Vanity Fair, Esquire, Rolling Stone, The Atlantic, I mean, even like Elle and like you have fashion magazines like that, like just running articles how Trump's a tyrant. You have it's like, and he fed. Look, he gave them that. He gave them that with the tweets. The Twitter was a trap. My God Almighty, it was a trap. But aside from the New York Post, and then you have like conservative publications like the Daily Caller. You have the Federalist is fantastic, but like the Washington Examiner is fantastic. Washington Times. But you don't have the same public relations apparatus. You just don't. American, Mi de Bella, God bless you, thank you. Emre, hello. Yeah, I mean, you need some kind of like, if they don't have, like, think about it this way. They have every possible conceivable advantage. Think about it. And then still they have the smallest majority, one of the smallest majorities in the history of Congress. But they have every conceivable possible advantage, and still President Trump did better among non-white voters than any president in 60 years, any Republican. Every single night, Jimmy Kimmel does something, Stephen Colbert does something to just show their disdain for Trump. Every single night. Every single day. The Washington Post, the New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, The Atlantic, Rolling Stone, Esquire, Vanity Fair, every single publication, they say the same thing. Do you understand? It's the same thing. They don't deviate. When Trump, when they said Trump worked with Russia, he worked with Russia. And then you have pundits on YouTube. It's the same script. It's the only deviation is, Medicare for all. And then when Jimmy Dore says, how about now? They say, we can't do it now. And you have people that you have a few good YouTubers like myself. Don't want to pat myself on the back, but you have like about 10 or 12 or 13 or 14 YouTubers that actually defend President Trump. And maybe 5 or 6, maybe not even three or four publications that give a different viewpoint. Maybe not necessarily defend President Trump, but New York Post will defend, and the Wall Street Journal actually will also. But there needs to be some kind of debate and dialogue and discourse that will help Trump tremendously. And I'm telling, like, if there's anyone that listens to me in President Trump's, around him, that has his ear, tell him to go on Joe Rogan and Tim Pool, have an hour-long or half-hour-long discussion, interview. It will be seen, or Brandon Tatum. It will be seen, or Steven Crowder. It'll be seen like 50, 60 million times each interview. That is like the best idea that's the best thing he could ever do. Much better than going to the conservative conference. I mean, it's good, It's good, but it would be a million times better. It would be a million times better. The interesting thing is, you notice like Hollywood, late night, they're speaking to only half the country. They're speaking to only half the country. Like, think about that. This is one of the few times in American history, or I should say, the only time in my life, probably the only time in your life, that in terms of a political viewpoint, entertainment is speaking to only half the country. Like, they don't, like, late night doesn't care about alienating, like, people who voted for President Trump, 74 million Americans. They don't care. Think about that. They don't care. Like, how do you have a society, a country of 320 million Americans, and no debate, no discourse, no dialogue, no discussion? And Democrats, it used to be like Republicans used to be the party that wanted only two sides of an issue and that's it. Like, good, bad, that's it. Now it's Democrats because they don't really have any like ideas. There are no ideas that they really care about. It's true. Look at the past month. They spent 4 years saying democracy and the Constitution and oh my God. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Lyle, Bud, thank you. Everybody, thank you. I will be back tomorrow. I think this will be my last upload, or it's a live stream, but for the evening. Thank you so very much, everybody. Lyle Butt, thank you. To my super chat, thank you. And this was actually it was very, very important. What Mitch McConnell did tonight was very important, because it was confirmation that only one person runs the Republican Party, and that's a good thing. The Republican Party became a populist political party because of Trump. Give me your thoughts below. To my super chat, thank you. Eric, Luke, thank you so very much. I'll see you.